What's going on, Jerome? So it's been 5 fortnights. Oh, by the way, a fortnight means 2 weeks. Doesn't mean that stupid video game that my kids play now. But it's been a while since the Vikings didn't have a victory Monday presser. Kevin O'Connell looks really excited about it. This was his face when he was asked about his trade rumors. He wasn't having it. I love it, man. But last night is what it is. And Kevin O'Connell said some things and some stuff, and let's talk about it. Number one, didn't coach or play to the Viking standard Week 18. All right, the Vikings coming off a 9-game winning streak, and it was just so frustrating. The points left on the board, and Reichard's issues, Darnold's issues, everyone's issues, and it does leave a sour taste in your mouth as you exit the regular season. But like we said earlier in the day, this could be the catalyst that pisses this team off, right? Because say the Vikings beat the Lions, right? Or say that the Vikings lost a close game. You can get complacent there because you get the 1 seed. Who the man? We the man. Who the man? We the man. If you lose a close game, oh, gee, jolly willikers. We're so close, and we 2 of our 3 losses are against the number 1 team. But by golly, we'll go and get them. Now the Vikings are like, F you. I want the Vikings to have the best week of practice possible, right? And maybe there was an emotional hangover from the Packers game. Celebrating Darnold. Hip, hip, hooray. But now I want a pissed off week of practice. I want them to play against the Rams like their hair's on fire. I want Flores to blitz every single down. I want Kevin O'Connell and Darnold to just chuck it all over the yard. I don't. Hey, Sam, stop throwing high. I don't care if you throw a couple picks. Just chuck it. Fire that effing pigskin. Woo. That's what I want, man. Anyways, talked about how they'll be able to pull from lessons from the 14-3 season heading into the playoffs, because it was good perspective, right? And I know that a lot of Vikings fans are pissed off, sort of sad. It's like, oh, they're frauds. We knew it. They're going to be one and done. What's the point of playing? They won 14 games. It's not a fluke, right? Honest reflection, personal responsibility, but at the end of the day, it was 1 game, right? But the Vikings, they brought the players in, had a film session, let them sleep in a little bit, but they're sleeping last night, so why do they need the beauty rest, man? Plus they're already beautiful. Woo! Plus it was a tough conversation that this team had, because there was a lot of mistakes, and coaches could have coached better, players should have played better, all that stuff. But luckily they came out relatively clean. Injuries coming out of the Detroit game. No update on Patrick Jones as of yet. He also said that cornerback Fabian Moreau was close, but ended up not suiting up because of that hip injury. Darnold, talk about mechanics and mindset, previous plays impacting the next. A lot of coded language there. And O'Connell, after the game in Detroit, did talk about mechanics, mindset, fundamentals, and all that stuff. So, footworks-wise, eyes-wise, was Darnold off? And did he allow things to quicksand a little bit? I think it's possible. Was a big game jitters? Maybe. But, yeah, it's like after that first red zone trip didn't work out, you could tell it's sort of wearing on Darnold. And he seemed a little bit gun-shy. There's a lot of times where first reads were open, especially with Addison. There's 2 walk-in touchdowns that 3 had. Missed that gimme. Missed that sitter against the with Jefferson against Robertson in the end zone. That one should have been there, right? Talked about how 5-7 plays in the game, offense failed to execute, and against a good team on the road, hostile environment, gotta make those plays because it changes the environment and changes the fan dynamic. It changes the flow of the game, changes momentum. And that was very big. Also talked about how Sam has responded strong in the face of adversity, and he has, right? So he bounced back against a couple losses, played some great ball, bounced back from that Jaguars game, put together a stretch of 7 games where he was playing like a top 4 or 5 quarterback, and that's legit. Absolutely legit. And also, he'll probably be named December NFC Offensive Player of the Month here, which is just going to be make fans so happy. All right, but also talked about full confidence in Darnold. The coaches and the teammates have that in him. Plus, maybe Darnold's not the future. Next year. Maybe it is a tag and trade or just let him leave a free agency. Don't really know. J.J. McCarthy's show. But J.J. McCarthy ain't walking through that door, man. You are rolling with Sam Darnold. He's going to be your best chance to do something in the playoffs. So you got to rally behind him. And he has played high-level football against tough opponents throughout this year. So hopefully we can get back to where we once belong. All right, talked about the Rams. Very good team at home. They were able to rest a lot of their starters against the Seahawks. Although the Seahawks treated that game like the Super Bowl, man. It's kind of great. Lions defense had a good game plan. Major respect to Aaron Glenn, and the Vikings just didn't execute against it. Or Kevin Conlon won't say it, but they didn't really adjust very well to Aaron Glenn running 17 cover zero blitzes. Just bring it. I respect what Aaron Glenn did, and I think it's going to land him a head coaching gig where it's like, hey, our defense is banged up. Our corners aren't the best in the world, but they can be sticky, and having them play press man and grab every single play, it's going to give them a fighting chance because I think the refs will get sick of calling it because, I mean, this is something the Vikings have to take to heart. In the playoffs, and yeah, Week 18 Sunday night was a de facto playoff game, the refs will generally swallow the whistle. I mean, there's a reason why there wasn't any holding calls called on Chiefs in the Super Bowl, right? Because they don't want to they don't want to influence the end of the game. You know, just like a lot of the regular season games, right? So the Vikings defense, they have to calibrate what they can get away with. And the Vikings offense, receivers, you got to fight through. You are going to get held. You are going to get interfered with. You're the Vikings, so you're never going to get a whistle, but you got to fight through. And you got to adapt to what the refs are going to let you do out there. Also, have to make plays when defenses rotate on Jefferson. Talked about how there was a fistful of plays where the Vikings, they could have had the game-changing play, but either didn't see it, didn't execute, and all that stuff. And also, he took responsibility for not beating the blitz, which was obviously an issue. Do you know Cam allowed 7 or 9 pressures last night? Cam Robinson, come on, man. Kevin Conlon on the trade rumors. This is where I want to be. He's got nothing but love for the organization. And this was his face. I think it was Dane Mizutani from the Pioneer Press was asking the question. Just like, no. It's like the old school. You guys remember bitter beer face? Was that Keystone Light? I don't know why Keystone Light needed to advertise because it was just the cheap beer that us college kids bought. It was really good. Didn't do enough to complement each other, but this team will rally. It also mentioned that the entire building was just a bunch of pissed off people, but they're not defeated. And this is great, too. And I kind of like the timing because say the Vikings had won or they narrowly lost and then they just sort of waltzed into the playoffs and then they had the letdown game. They got the letdown game where you still get to play. All right, so imagine if the Vikings have this no call, no show in a playoff game. That's going to leave a bitter aftertaste, right? That is definitely going to be bitter beer face, right? But the Vikings, luckily, have a chance to bounce back. They can exorcise the demons. Also, Will Reichard. So we had thought that the kickoff before the half could have been directional. Maybe Coach Hatt was playing games, but O'Connell said no, it was just a mishit ball. And that's the second kickoff in a couple weeks that Reichard has sent sailing out of bounds, given the opposition the ball at the 40, which is a huge advantage. Detroit got 2 quick passes, and they're kicking a field goal, a free 3 points. But said he still has confidence in Reichard. Said the Willithrow is not injured, but he's rallied well from that quad issue. But I don't know. Hopefully he rallies because obviously we're going to need him. All right. Hawkinson, your return to Detroit was big, but also missed on a couple of those balls where they catch 9 out of 10 times, specifically on third down, which definitely changes the complexion of some of the early drives, and just frustrating. And also talked about how you could rationalize and cope and say that it wasn't your day, or you could say that's not us out there, but find a way to fix it, right? And Darnold talked about how Darnold has made big-time plays off script this season, but just didn't have any on Sunday Night Football. And, the talk about Darnold scrambling out, buying time. And, yes, he does hang on to the football, but how many big-time throws have we seen from Darnold this year where he does hang on to that football, giving the receiver an extra fraction of a second and busting out a big-time play? A lot, right? So it is a live by the 3, die by the 3 situation with Darnold. So hopefully get things together. And I talked about how he didn't do enough to help the guys, and I think that's fair, right? Because this was a complete system-wide failure, specifically on offense, coaching, play calling, players, executing, Darnold, everything. Yeah. And also, like I said, everyone in the building's pissed, but they're going to get after things. Great week of practice coming up. Also, managing negative energy is what mature teams do. Because, hell, like the Bill Walsh 49ers, the Chuck Noll Steelers, the Cowboys, the Patriots with Belichick and Brady. Like, they've had games where they didn't have their fastball and they just ish the bed. All right, that's happened. But the thing that happens is you don't have two of those games in a row. How do you bounce back? And the Vikings, this season they've had a couple rough games, and also they've had a couple wins where they did not play great, notably Jacksonville, right? And specifically Sam Darnold that game. But they've always bounced back. And, yeah, I mean, there are two losses in a row in the middle of the season. Lions and the Rams both near-run things. And guess what? You're going to have a chance to avenge the Rams' loss Monday night against L.A. And then guess what? You're going to face Detroit at some point, right? So we'll see what happens. But I do have confidence in this team. Obviously, last night sucked balls. But fortunately, the Vikings still have a couple more games to completely redeem themselves. And offensively, they can... We've seen this offense against good defenses firing all cylinders, and now they have the freedom to swing away. Maybe they had the weight of adjusted expectations on them, especially if they would have got the 1 seed. Maybe it would have been a little bit of a pucker factor, but now it's just whatever. F you, F your mom, F the Lions, F the fans, F their fans too, F everyone. And just go from there. But that's it. Kevin O'Connell's Monday Presser. Your thoughts on our thoughts on his thoughts. Comment section. You guys know what to do. Subscribe. Support the work. Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skull Production Value.